Add graphics to your video. No, thank you. So, how was your ladies' day? Your late day, if you don't mind sharing.
Long.
Long, I feel you. I feel you. I just felt like I couldn't get back in the
Long.
groove. Oh, we have Miss Plummer on the line. Hello, Miss Plummer. She said, "Hey, ladies."
Hello.
All right. So, if you can, Miss, and like this live, share this live, and also comment. And we're moving at one person right now. We'll just like, share, and comment. Ooh, all right. Oh, we got someone else on. Hello, guys. As you come on, hopefully we have some people on. As you guys come on, go ahead and like this post, share this post. She said, "Good evening, ladies." You ready? All right. Good job. All right. Good evening and welcome. So, if you guys are just coming in, go ahead, like, share, and comment. Like, share, and comment. Did my screen just flicker green in the world? So, tonight we will be talking about ASD, which is also known as Autism Spectrum Disorder, and placement. That is what we will be covering tonight. We will also have our 50-50 raffle. So we will not be before you very long. We can go ahead and get started. Hold on 1 second. Let me. If you haven't done so, comment. Awesome. Hello. Hi. I wanted to check on you before we had started. So, as you all can see, we have the full panel tonight of the lovely ladies of I Expect Progress. Woo! Honey, I'm excited. I am excited to have my team here with me on this evening. We will be covering autism spectrum disorder and placement. Of course, you are aware that this is Autism Awareness Month. And what other way can we build awareness than talk about the actual placement of the student in the classroom? Um, I'll go ahead and turn it over to to any of the ladies who would like to go ahead and begin. Something that we did discuss earlier, we went on ahead and talked about the proper placement. You know, sometimes you can have a student with autism and schools, the first placement they will consider is a self-contained classroom. Is that always the best choice? Is that always the correct choice? I'll go ahead and let the ladies go ahead and begin. Who want to jump in? It's like double dutch. Who wants?
Okay, you go first. Okay.
Okay. So I would say, from my perspective, I think the answer is no. I don't know about when it comes to special education or education in general. Always is really hard, because students are different. You want to put them in the best place where they will succeed and do well and be, less less distracted and more productive. That's the place where I would put them. So I was at a school. It wasn't self-contained, but it was only me and one other student in the classroom, me and one student in the classroom, but it wasn't all day. So that wouldn't have been considered self-contained. And some students thrive on that. Others need other people to be around them, like other people their own age. So, and that's the fun part, I feel like, about special education. You get to decide with the team, not just you by yourself, but like your whole team decides where the best place for that student would be. So, whoever would like to go next?
I agree. Oh, you can go first. Okay. But I agree with that as well, because I mean, it is a team decision based on, where should the student be placed when you see, like, the student progress and things like that. And from what I have been dealing with, or in the past and recent, is that I do see sometimes that a student is placed just because of their primary exceptionality or whatever, and it's autism. And I see they're placed in a self-contained autism classroom. And at times, like with the particular student that I have, I see that, the noises in the classroom, because, it's different noises that he'll hear. I feel like at times that if he was in a gen ed setting with that special education support, he probably would do a bit better. But he's a new student, so I'm just trying to see like what works best and things like that. But I mean, you really do have to be really careful about placement and things like that. And if you do see, like maybe the student would do better in a gen ed setting or whatever, then it's time to, get the team back together and talk about a new placement for that student. But of course, you got to make sure that you have all that data and everything showing that, okay, you definitely have to prove your case here. Because 9 out of 10, they really want that student to stay in your classroom. They may feel like you're just trying to take the student out of your classroom, because I dealt with that before too. And the student definitely need to be not in my classroom, but in a very autism, like the classroom, the whole setting. It just needed something different from what I was given at that time. So yes, placement is important. And just because a student is labeled with, autism, it doesn't mean that they need to be in an autism self-contained classroom. Because if that student will progress and soar in a gen ed setting with that special education teacher coming in, helping them or pulling them out, then, let it be. Don't, because at times they do need that, because like I said, all the noise that's in my classroom, my student, he comes in, he's like, I want to go to the small classroom. I want to go to the small classroom, because it's just too much for him. He's just like, that's all he hears, whoop, 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 all day. So, okay, I'm done.
I was going to say I agree with what Joy and Abigail said. I think it's important that when you're considering placement for a student with ASD, that one, we're considering the least restrictive environment. I have a lot of students on my caseload as of right now that have the autism spectrum disorder, and a lot of them are functioning in gen ed classes with me, providing support facilitation for them. However, we do know that ASD is something that is a wide range. It's a wide spectrum. So you may have students that are very low on the spectrum, and then students that are as high as what they call Asperger's. I think when you have students that are functioning on that level, they can, perform very well in a gen ed setting with that support from their special education teacher. But it really varies. It depends on, I would say, the issues that the child would have. Some of them may have the social skills and sensory issues, but those are all things that I would suggest any teacher, if you do have a child like that in a gen ed setting, I would have a system where in the morning you kind of prep them and let them know what their day is going to be, because most students like that, they do better when they have a routine. And so, for instance, if you have an assembly or something on that day and you know that your schedule is going to be different, you can kind of prep in with the child or do what I like to call a check-in with the child and just let them know what to expect so they can learn to go with the flow. So.
Okay, so in the state of West Virginia, our state legislation made it to where, like, if you get certified in special ed in your undergrad, you're only certified for multi-cap, learning disability, behavior disorders, and intellectual disorders. They consider autism a whole nother area, right? So you have a lot of special ed teachers that went to school and got were not considered resource eligible students. I hate to say it that way. So what self-contained would be your autism kids and then your moderate intellectual disabilities. So that means students who are not, when I mean moderate intellectual disability, I mean students who are not functional or able to be functional in the general ed environment, right? So what we have in West Virginia is our higher autism functioning students have to get their services in the self-contained classroom, and then they can go back into their general ed, right? So one of the issues with that is you have higher functioning autistic kids who can't handle the self-contained classroom. Why? Because of the noises and all of the dysfunction. And so as a result, those kids get further behind. So in my school, I recently took over a position for kindergarten through second resource. And there was a kid who was autistic, and the resource teacher was like unofficially taking him. And I'm like, hey, I'm not doing that. Like, what? Who does that? Like, why would you take a kid and not, he's not on your list? Like, I already have 28 kids. I'm not doing that. So I met the kid, and he was like, hi, Miss Hatcha, how are you doing today? How are you feeling? What's going on with you? I mean, what did you watch yesterday? I watched it. It was just very, I was very intrigued. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I can, why not? I'll take you on. And so come to find out, he knew all of his letters and sounds, but no one gave him the opportunity to learn how to read. And so this year, he's learned how to read, and I taught him how to learn how to read on Teams, during the time, like online, during the time that we were not in school. And, his parents even came up to me and they were like, our son has never had a desire to read until he met you, and to me, and I'm not certified to teach autism, but for some reason, I just end up getting them. But anyways, and then come to find out, I talked to the mother and I said, I don't think your kid's autistic. And she's like, well, you're the first one that actually has really invested in my son, and you actually understand what's really going on. I said, so what is he? She's like, well, the doctor said he's ADHD. I said, well, why don't I have that paperwork? Because we can just go ahead and, switch, if that's what it is. And make a long story short, he's not qualified as autism. So sometimes, we have misdiagnosis, and that's a whole nother meeting. That's a whole nother issue. Misdiagnosis of what a child can be on the spectrum, because a lot of times when you have a kindergartner that is having, odd behaviors, it's not always autism, and sometimes they just need that right teacher to whip them into shape. I always tell my parents, I'm a tyrant. I don't play games.
That's
you
right.
don't. No, ma'am, no, sir. And I see, I see a lot of progress, because of the way I am. So once again, then I also want to talk about that because, the self-contained classroom should be for students who cannot function in the general ed environment.
That's right.
But what it has become is, if you are this classification, if you're autistic or if you're moderately intellectually disabled, then you are going to be self-contained, and it should not be that way. But that's a whole nother meeting for a whole nother session. But I will say that I do think that autism should be considered, just special ed in general, not just specific learning disability, not just behavior disorder, and not just intellectual disability. I kind of feel like sometimes they ostracize them, and it's not their fault, but I just, so that's my take on it.
And I agree with everything that you ladies said. Um, Working 2 years in a self contained classroom, that can be very overwhelming. That can be a lot of stress on you and those students because um, if you have one child that is having an off day, that one child, that one attitude, his vibe can ruin everybody. Don't think you're teaching. No, baby, you ain't teaching. You're going to be correcting all day long. And if he has friends and he's the ringleader, honey, that's it. You might as well shut the whole class down. Everybody is in class suspension on today. That's how bad it can get in a self contained classroom. And I feel that when you are talking about placing a student in a self contained classroom, that you have to be aware of how that student reacts to others. Don't say, well, just because maybe he rocks. If he rocks, and that's a normal thing for children who are on the spectrum. If they rock, if they're flapping their hands, if they zone in on something like that, don't place that baby in no self-contained classroom just because of the minor things that you see that you think are so big. No, honey. I'd rather have a baby looking at this pen and listening to my lesson and flapping his arms and enjoying listening to me, focusing on me, than somebody who's sitting there quiet the whole time and throwing paper balls, or somebody who's not paying attention at all. So that's something that I don't like. When I worked in the self-contained classroom, it was levels. It was levels. And if you were high functioning ASD, that means that you might not have the same disabilities as a child who is extremely qualified, as I would say. Maybe you don't have that many communication struggles. Maybe you're not having any type of learning disability. Maybe it's truly just how you socialize. I've had a child like that to be in a self contained classroom, and he's high functioning. And by him watching the behaviors of others, because you already know an autistic or a child on the spectrum, they feed off of what they see. So if they see bad behavior, they're going to mock bad behavior. When I met him, he was a sweet little boy. But after a while of being in that self contained classroom, he started to pick up different characteristics that were not like him. So, were we doing him any justice by placing him in that classroom? No, we set that child up for failure. In order to transition back to your homeschool where I once taught at, you have to show levels of growth in your behavior. That child went from only saying a few cuss words to now cussing everybody out, fighting people, and he can't even fight a lick, but he will fight everybody just because he could do it. He's then seen so many kids do it, and it's like, I can do that too. It's already a hard bat for them because they feel like, I want to be normal. I want people to see me for me. Why do they see me in autism? I don't want you to see me in autism. I want you to see me for me. So of course they're gonna say, "Oh well, he gets attention because he cuss people out. Let me cuss a couple of people out." Honey, my student couldn't place those cuss words right in a sentence to save his life. He would try to call something something stupid, but he ended up calling his book a MF. I said, baby, that's not how you use that term. Well, how do you use it? I can't tell you how to use it. Let's just not use it. Let's talk about something else. But see, that comes with the package of placing these kids in a self-contained classroom with children who aren't on the same level as them. So to me, I feel like that has to be a tough decision, but it also has to be something that everyone has to be able to talk about and deal with. Not just the sped teacher and not just the parent. It needs to be the gen ed teachers. It needs to be the principal. It needs to be the guidance counselors. We need to look at the class we're talking about putting them in, first of all, in that meeting. Okay, this little boy is in that class, and this little girl, and he's always having trouble with this boy, and this little girl always picks on him. Are we going to put him in that classroom? No. And I've seen that where they will put a child in the classroom and not even worry about who else is in the classroom because they feel like, as a teacher, you're going to manage that. You're going to handle that. That's up to you, baby. fend for yourself. That's how it's been in education, and that's not how it's supposed to be. If we are truly trying to help students on the spectrum, we truly have to look at what they need, not what we want, not what's easy for our staff, not because Miss Rosie, she can't handle this student, so we can't give her this student, but she might be the best reading specialist that we have. So why are we going to miss out just because she can't handle them? Throw somebody else in there. So that's my take on placement. Do anyone have anything else they would like to add?
I want to add one more thing.
Go ahead.
So, I will say this: you will have some supervisors who, okay, I teach kindergarten, first, and second. So, by the time autistic kids hit middle school and they're not doing well, they automatically will place them in self-contained. So a lot of times, supervisors will say, "Oh, well, when they're in kindergarten, oh, well, we want to give them a chance in general ed and just see how they're doing, because we don't want." I'm using their voice. Right. We don't want to go ahead and put them in that environment and then they never come out, because. Okay. Now, if you have an autistic kid that's yelling and screaming, falling out on the floor, having temper tantrums, like as a parent, your child is not getting the most services that they can get in the general ed environment, period. And so you need to think about these things when you have your meeting. You could always say, I want my child to have an hour of reading and an hour of math in the resource room or the self-contained room, and then have them come back in for, I don't know, science or whatever the case is, and recess and all that. But you really need to take into consideration, like, is my child really benefiting from the general ed environment? That's right. Because there are a select few that really, really are not. That's and right. If you keep getting calls, or if your kid keeps getting written up every other day, then you might need to rethink, okay, does my child really need more services in the self-contained or resource room than being in general ed? So that's all I had to say about that.
Anyone else? We're good? Everybody good? All right. So that concludes our discussion for this evening. I hope that was informative, and that maybe you could take this back and share this with someone. If you're just coming in tonight, we do have our 50-50 raffle. So the number just jumped like bloop. Okay. So tonight we have our 50-50 raffle. Please go ahead, like, share, and comment. Like, share, and comment. You can comment, hey. You can comment here, ready, or whatever. Just comment, okay? Like, share, and comment. You will be donating to the Cash App. And I wonder, is this going to move if I share what I want to share? Or should I just say the Cash App? I'm going to put the Cash App in the chat box, and I'm going to try to all right, so that is the Cash App for this evening, for this 50-50 raffle. Like, share, comment. And when you're ready to donate, every dollar that you donate on this evening or throughout this week is going to add up. And we're going to take and divide it down the middle. So feel free to go ahead and Cash App. And if you cannot Cash App, we do have Venmo. And our Venmo is at IEP 20. No, that is not what I want to put in there. All right, that's the Venmo. And you guys feel free to go ahead and donate. We're trying to build awareness, guys. We're not just building awareness only of children on the spectrum, but we are trying to reach out into the community and give you guys all the information we can to help you as parents, to help you as guardians, to help you as teachers, to help get you prepared and squared away in your classrooms. We also have busy books that are coming out. We got these lovely T-shirts. Sped Guru. Yeah. Can't really see it, and I'm not going to go below for you to see it. But hey, check out the page, guys. Check out the page. It'd be better if you just check the page out to see the rest of the shirt. Okay. Very well. Very good. Let me see if I can this share this little thing that I made, which has our information on it, which is on our page, but just to put it up there. I hope you guys are having fun. I hope you guys are enjoying our sessions. I know sometimes you might be like, oh, this is so dull, this is boring, but this is information that someone needs. We're here to help. Not always to make anyone laugh, but we are truly here to help you guys out in any way that we can. And I don't see what I'm looking for. So, anyway, let me show y'all our flyer because we got a new flyer. And look at that nice flyer. Oh my goodness. Look at our new logo. Oh my goodness. You can't see it because of the glare, and all that great information. Oh my goodness. I'm lagging and everything. I don't know why it's jumping like that. Am I jumping on y'all screen? Y'all should see me. Look like I'm doing the robot. Okay, so that's our flyer. I'm gonna post that. Shout out to my god sister Olivia Blunt for creating that flyer and our new logo. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. So we better kick off, guys. I hope y'all ready. I shared all. Thanks, mom. My mom said she shared. We thank you guys for sharing. We thank you guys for donating. We thank you. We truly appreciate it. For the rest of the week, it's going to be going on. Somebody just texted me and said, what is the pledge amount? I mean, it's whatever you feel like giving. We're not holding anybody to any set amount that you want to give. If you give $20, then your name goes in the pot 20 times. I have this little boy that I've been reading to lately, and I'm going to let him draw the name. So on Friday, you'll meet one of my little friends in the neighborhood that I've then gathered. Then gathered quite a few of them. But I had to let them know, hey, can't be just coming knocking on my door now. Wait a minute now. Still COVID out here, guys. It's still COVID. They knock. Are you gonna come out? You gonna come out and play with us? I'm like, boy, hello, I'm still at work. And I know you still in school. Can you go back down there until I clock out? Please. Okay. Anybody else deal with that? I don't know. I used to teach in a small community. I used to love having my kids pop up on me. But the older I got, I just need that space and that privacy. You know what I'm saying? When I walk in this household, I'm not even Nola anymore. I'm not even Chanel anymore. I'm just whatever, a blob, if that's what you want to call me. Because I love to get in this house and just melt. So, anybody else with me? Am I the only one that enjoys melting in your house? I love to melt in my house, honey. Melt in my bed, honey. Maybe that's kind of getting a little off. Cut. We're going to cut that one out. I don't think I could cut it out. Now that I'm thinking about it, when you say something, you be like, oh my goodness. Did she say that? My bad. That's why it's not good to give me no free time. We done learned we cannot give her no free time. If you're just jumping on, our 50/50 raffle is going on. You can donate at the Cash App or you can donate at Venmo. It's the $ IEP 2021. Every dollar gets you in there. Every dollar gets you in there. I'm sorry. Somebody's texting me. And I don't want nobody to be left out. Because I want everybody to be able to get in where they fit in and be able to bless everybody. Okay? All right. All right. So we thank y'all. I'm not gonna hold y'all up here. I'm not. I ain't gonna do that. Because as you can see, I'll be talking about anything. We thank you guys for coming on tonight. We appreciate your support and your love that you've been showing. Please share this video. Yeah. Bye.